Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 4.
A Central Kentucky woman was in charge of keeping students safe on the school bus. Now she's accused of breaking the law, what police say she did.
It is another very chilly afternoon across central and eastern Kentucky. Clearing skies, a little frost on the pumpkins on the way. More on that in a second.
And expectations are high for Coach Calipari and the Cats this season. We'll take you to Charlotte for Kentucky's turn at SEC Media Day, where the Cats are getting more preseason love. Welcome to WKYT News at 4. I'm Jennifer Palumbo. The chilly and windy weather continues today in the Bluegrass, and we now have a frost advisory for tonight. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey, who is tracking temperatures. Chris, how low will we go?
Yeah, I think a lot of areas flirting with freezing. First thing tomorrow morning, Jennifer, across central and eastern Kentucky. That frost advisory right now across much of the Bluegrass region and northern Kentucky. It's not been issued for eastern Kentucky as of yet. We'll see if that comes in from the National Weather Service in Jackson. Keep in mind, though, a few weeks ago, most areas had a little touch of frost already. Now, Live First Alert Defender beginning to pick up on some clearing skies, and we're seeing that showing up on our across Kentucky cams right now. Richmond into Jackson with some clouds. Look at the temperatures, 48 and 49 degrees. Wow, 58 into Frankfort, a little warmer where we're seeing some sunshine. That frost advisory for areas to our west, but the clouds continue into parts of central Kentucky, into the eastern half of the state, all courtesy of that same slow-moving storm system. It's a nor'easter that really hasn't budged very much at all since this same point yesterday. We continue to be in that cold northerly wind flow, and that's a trend that'll carry us right on through the next 24 hours. Now, for the evening ahead of us, skies will slowly, and I mean slowly, begin to clear by 11 o'clock. Low and mid-40s showing up. Focus of the forecast, Jennifer, on what else but a little frost on the pumpkins when I come back in about 10 minutes.
This afternoon, a former Central Kentucky school bus monitor faces criminal charges for an incident involving students on a bus. The Anderson County Sheriff's Office charged 41-year-old Melinda Owen with menacing and harassment. Both are misdemeanors. Court documents say Owens pushed a 12-year-old boy's face into a bus seat, then tore up homework of another student while yelling at him. Owens resigned from the school system shortly after the incident. She's due on court December 4th. We'll have reaction from Lawrenceburg on WKYT News at 5. Investigators say a Lexington apartment fire could have been much worse if a neighbor hadn't jumped into action. The fire started just before 3 this morning on Reading Road near Lansdowne Drive. Firefighters were able to put it out before it spread to other apartments. WKYT's Victor Puente talked to the neighbor who called 911. He has our top story at 4.
A neighbor is being credited with calling 911 so this fire could be extinguished before it spread to any other apartments.
Didn't see or smell any smoke right at first.
Larry Williams lives below the apartment that caught fire. He told us his smoke detector woke him up.
So I went outside and saw smoke pouring from the window of the apartment above me. So I woke everybody in the building up and got them all out.
Firefighters got to the bedroom where the fire started before those flames could spread to any neighboring apartments. They say because they got to it while it was still small, there isn't any damage to the rest of the building, and the people in those other apartments have been able to return to their homes. They say that smoke detector may have saved lives.
When you're sleeping, your sense of smell is highly diminished, and that's why, a smoke detector is so important that it wakes you up.
The woman who lives in the apartment where the fire started was at work, but came home as crews were leaving. Hours after the fire, investigators went back to the apartment to see if they could get a better idea of how it started. It wasn't just the fire the crews out here had to deal with. They say a drunk driver hit a utility truck parked near the scene. Then after that, someone ran over one of the water lines they were using. They say neither of those impacted how quickly they were able to get out this fire. In Lexington, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Last night, firefighters said the fire was not suspicious, but the cause is still under investigation. The UK Wildcats are already the preseason top-ranked team in the nation. Now they're also the unanimous pick to win the Southeastern Conference. That's just one of the headlines from SEC Media Day, where John Calipari and the Harrison twins took the mic this morning. WKYT's Lee K. Howard joins us from Charlotte with our Big Blue coverage. Hi, Lee K.
Well, hello and welcome to Charlotte, the Ballantine Hotel, site of this year's SEC Men's Basketball Media Days. It's a first for the SEC, and you know there's a lot of things that are new for the SEC this year, including the launch of the brand new SEC Network. Many of the coaches that we spoke to today said that this launch of this network should bring the exposure to the SEC basketball that it deserves, but it also brings exposure to some of the other sports that maybe even Coach Calipari didn't know he liked.
They're showing volleyball games. So I turn on the SEC Network, I'm seeing volleyball. I didn't even know I liked volleyball until I started watching volleyball, and I'm like, this is kind of neat.
When your conference has a network that goes into more homes than the NFL network, you've given yourself a platform to, if others don't want to give you credit, well, give yourself credit.
I think that's what this league does. It brings more of a balance to all these programs that deserve the exposure.
Well, John Calipari, of course, was a big attraction this morning, as were Andrew and Aaron Harrison, taking different questions from the media. They'll be doing that all day, and we will be bringing you more of that coming up at 5, 6, and 11. Reporting from the SEC Media Day in Charlotte, Lee K. Howard, WKYT.
Thank you, Lee K. And Kentucky's pick to win the SEC is the first time since the 1995-96 season that a team received all first-place votes. UK was also the selection back then and, of course, went on to win the 1996 National Championship. We're working on a number of other stories for WKYT starting at 4:30. Sam Dick joins us from the newsroom with a look at some of the news in progress. Good afternoon, Sam.
Good afternoon, Jennifer. Today we're learning more about the case against a Southern Kentucky man. He's accused of murdering his girlfriend. A preliminary hearing took place this afternoon for Johnny Hendricks in Pulaski County. Police say he killed Monica Wells, then dumped her body in a sinkhole. They say her 8-year-old son saw the couple fighting before Hendricks disappeared into the woods. We'll update you on what happened in court coming up on WKYT News at 4:30. The Red Mile and Keeneland have agreed to offer what's called historical racing in Fayette County. The wagering will be offered exclusively at the Red Mile. A total of 1,000 terminals will be available for historical racing wagers. The new project, set to open next September, construction is expected to begin soon and will cost about $30 million. The construction project will create 100 construction jobs. About 150 jobs are expected to be created when the facility is complete. We'll have more on the new racing facility coming up on WKYT News at 6 o'clock. Those low gas prices seem too good to be true, and sure enough, they took a jump today. For about a week, drivers in Lexington have seen record gas prices below the $3 mark. AAA tells us statewide prices, though, are still down. We'll let you know where the prices are right now coming up on WKYT News at 5 o'clock. That's a look at some of the news in progress. Jennifer, back to you.
Thanks, Sam. Now to stories making headlines across the nation at 4. An American held prisoner in North Korea is back home this afternoon. 56-year-old Jeffrey Fowle arrived at a military base outside Dayton, Ohio this morning and was greeted by his family. His children were not told they'd be reuniting with their father and were surprised by his arrival. As Allison Harmelin reports, Fowle's release raises hopes for 2 other Americans held in North Korea.
Jeffrey Fowle's son raced into his father's arms, starting a long-awaited family hug on the tarmac. Fowle's wife and children feared he would never come home from North Korea after he was accused of crimes against the state for leaving a Bible in a nightclub. Christian evangelism is against the law in the isolated dictatorship.
Just happy to have him back.
Fowle posed with his family before entering his home near Dayton for the first time in 6 months.
Jeff would like you to know that he was treated well by the government of the DPRK, and that he's currently in good health.
North Korea's government news agency says leader Kim Jong-un released Fowle after President Obama's, quote, repeated requests. Secretary of State John Kerry says the U.S. did not make any deals to get Fowle home. Swedish diplomats helped negotiate his release. 2 other Americans are still imprisoned in North Korea. 24-year-old Matthew Miller, who was convicted of being a human rights spy after ripping up his tourist visa and requesting asylum. And 46-year-old Kenneth Bay, who was found guilty of anti-government activities. His health is in decline after 2 years of hard labor.
We have great hopes that North Korea will see the benefit of releasing them also as soon as possible.
Relations between the U.S. and North Korea have been at a low because of North Korea's nuclear ambitions and human rights violations. Allison Harmelin for CBS News.
FOW's spokesman says he needs time to adjust to family life before talking to reporters. FOW works for the Streets Department in Moraine, Ohio. His employment was terminated last month. He was reportedly granted $70,000 in severance pay and can be reinstated. Today is the first official day on the job for Ron Klain, the new Ebola czar. President Obama is picked to coordinate the federal response to the Ebola outbreak, is expected to meet with the president and others. Klain's work begins as NBC freelance cameraman Ashoko Mukpo leaves the Nebraska Medical Center after testing negative for the virus. Dallas nurse Nina Pham, who contracted Ebola while caring for Thomas Eric Duncan, has been upgraded to good condition.